Oh, God, son, what the hell are you doing?
364 more days till next year's hockey tryouts. I gotta toughen up.
Only there you shall find the master.
Yeah? Yeah, well, you're the one. And
Who's the one and only master?
Hey, Iconical family. You know, I've never been much of a hot sauce guy. Either it's too hot, or I'm running to the bathroom right after, or something. It's just never been my thing. That all changed when I tried Norse Hall. Norse Hall is from West Virginia and provides solid flavor in all of their hot sauces. Handmade, fermented, and all natural ingredients are put together to make, quite frankly, some of the best damn hot sauce I've had in my life. My favorite, Freyer Zest. Habanero ginger peach hot sauce made with peaches, carrots, honey, habanero peppers, lime, ginger, onions, and all of the delicious goodness you could want in any hot sauce. If you want something lighter, try their Siggins Venom hot sauce. Maybe you need a little bit more heat, crank it up a notch with their Searcher's Wrath and Couch Burner hot sauce. Whatever you desire, they can match. Go to norse-hall.com. That is norse-hall.com today to put your order in. norse-hall.com. We are the West Virginia Hot Sauce Company. There's you know what's funny is it looks like you just made this studio in your backyard. So it looks like you ran out from your house into your backyard and you're just running away from your family.
That's the hope. The hope is that someday I'll end up in the backyard and the family won't know I'm there. When dude, it's just, are we rolling? Are we recording?
I can cut from here, so it's fine.
Well, that's fine. I just want to know. When you've got 4 kids, bro, it's just like finding a quiet corner anywhere is just bananas. So, you know, it's like having this office is like the greatest thing in the world, but it's only feet away from chaos at all times.
You can still hear the screams.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. And they're mostly from my wife just begging for help.
Don't worry, babe. You got it.
Yeah, no, it's all encouragement. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Don't change a thing. It's working perfectly.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Let me. So
I gotta say first.
Shoot.
I hope you are recording. I'm so excited to be on this podcast today. I gotta tell you, because we've been waiting so long to do this. Like the first time we had to cancel, I was like, okay, because I was a little nervous, right?
Yeah.
The second time we had to cancel, I was like, I kind of wanted to do that. The third time we canceled, I was like, man, I really wish we did that today. And now that it's finally happening, I feel like we really built up the to a climax here. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, now the expectation now was a lot higher, I guess.
Yeah, but then now that I'm on the podcast with you, I realize this isn't going anywhere, and we should probably just hang this up.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, I actually have something where I got to cut short tonight.
Okay. Yeah, let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up. It's funny because I was talking with Brandon and Andy on the last podcast, Universe 845. They have a podcast in the Hudson Valley. And we were saying scheduling is the name of the game. Like that, podcasting, scheduling is the name of the game. Sometimes you'll have something where it works right off the bat. And I've had those to where you can have a conversation and you're like, I have my recording equipment. Let's do this right now. Where that has happened before. And then other times you have to reschedule. And then all of a sudden it's 2 months down the road. And then you're 5 months down the road. And then you're 7 months down the road. And then you're a year out. Like I've done that before as well. It really is crazy because it's the people that want to actually be a part of something great that will stick around for like the year because they're still excited about it.
Yeah, no, I get that. And, it's easy when you can kind of push it off 1 or 2 times and then just forget about it. You can say, it never worked out. It's fine. But if somebody wants to stick around and reschedule with you 4 times, like they're in it for you.
Yeah, and it kind of shows. I don't know. It shows patience, right? Like a lot of people don't have patience nowadays. Especially
Dude, I
kids
don't
with
have
4
patience
kids
nowadays.
Yeah.
I am not like I'm the least patient person that I know. So yeah, no, but it's cool. I'm glad that we made it work.
I thought it was gonna be backwards when you had 4 kids. Like you would get more patience.
No, you have the same amount of patience. You just got to divide it 4 friggin' ways.
So it's like that
It
thing
doesn't. It does. You don't get more. It's a finite resource. You only have what you have, and then you got to make it work.
Is it almost like remember when your computer started running low of space back in the day, and all of a sudden it started, what do they say? They would quarantine it. They would start saving.
Yeah.
Is that what happens?
Yep. Yeah. It starts saving files smaller and smaller and smaller. Yeah, that's it. I just got a bunch of files running around the house. That's all.
Some are JPEGs, some are audios.
Yeah.
They're all different.
Some are, yeah, I'm not even going to get into what they might be, but yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, and you talked about scheduling. My schedule is nuts, dude. Like we're at it's 6 days a week we're doing something after work. Mm-hmm. You good?
I'm always going to be looking at it. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
I thought maybe you smelled something. You good? You good?
Did I give off that face?
Yeah, it was that look. It was that look. And I'm a real friend because I'll tell you, you're making fart faces on the podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 6 days a week for us, dude. We have I'll run you through it. So we got Sunday, Tommy has baseball in Chester, and then Audrey has softball up here, and that's the team that I coach. Then Monday, Natalie's got volleyball. Tuesday, I'm off. We got nothing going on Tuesday, which is why this worked out. Wednesday, we got volleyball and basketball for Audrey. Then Thursday, Tommy's got baseball on a different team, and then he's got basketball practice after that. And then Friday, Audrey's got basketball practice, and then Saturday we've got basketball games. Bro, it's nuts. Like there's right now there's like no rest for the wicked.
That is nuts, man. The fact that I guess you would remember it, right? It's one of those things where it's just jammed in your head over and over and over and over again, or you're looking at the calendar constantly.
Yeah, no, it is, because it's like if I lose track of that for a second and I schedule one thing the wrong way, it throws everything off. So I've just gotten used to knowing that Tuesdays are off and then repeating everything we have every other night so I know where I'm supposed to be. Otherwise, I'll leave a freaking kid somewhere and I'll never go back and get him, Can't have that.
Sounds like you come awfully close to that happening.
Dude, I could say for sure that there have been times where I'm like, there's a kid somewhere that I have to get. I just don't know which one it is or where they are.
Everybody line up like that way you can see who's in your vision.
It's like, dude, like people think that that scene from Home Alone is ridiculous because like they're like, oh, they're counting all the kids or whatever. Like you should have 4 kids because I swear to God, we've done that. We've done that, and like you can lose track of Kevin McAllister so fast.
Kevin McAllister is an afterthought.
Yeah. Especially when you have what they have. They had the 15-year-old girl counting all the kids. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. We should trust her. She can't drive, but we should trust her to count the kids.
Heather. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Useless information. That's what I'm good for.
No,
okay. Movies and audio clips. That's about it.
There you go. It's perfect. That's perfect. Everybody has a skill set.
It just sucks that mine is that. You know what I mean? I guess I got to know my fucking role in this world.
Yeah, you could have picked a better skill set, but hey, at least you have one.
I got to pick it, dude?
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. You just kind of assigned to you at birth.
If I was to pick something, it would definitely probably be maybe some looks. I'll take that too.
Bro, I would just take like Rain Man math skills. That's what I would take. If I could be normal and just do math like Rain Man, I'd be so happy because I feel like I could make a business out of something that would be lucrative right away.
You would be like Albert Einstein. Who? I got this.
Yeah. That's the skill set I would take. Also, I would probably trade away my ADHD. That I think I would trade away for just about any other attribute. I would get rid of that.
But don't you think that? Okay, I don't know if I have ADHD, but I definitely believe that I have ADD. Okay.
Okay.
The
okay.
mind wanders, or even when I'm active, I cannot stay still. I will find something else to do, and even in between shit, I will find stuff to do, even though I'm like, yo, I know I was supposed to finish that, but I'm not gonna, right? So
Yeah.
it's definitely there some way, somehow, lingering, whatever. But if you were to take that away, do you think that could possibly you wouldn't accomplish as much?
So I've done some research into this actually. So long story short, obviously have a therapist. You and I've talked about this before,
Right.
and she knows how much crap I put on my plate routinely and whatnot. And what she said that I might have like a touch of is called flight of ideas, which like if you have a serious case of flight of ideas, it's actually quite dangerous. You could become like manic and be like off the wall. But for me, it's just that I have so many things going through my head at any time that like I can catch a ride on any one of those thoughts at any second and just like I'm gone. And I think that there's some correlation between like successful people and their ability to like think outside the box. And then there's a correlation with thinking outside the box and ADHD. So, if you can wrangle the whole thing into one perfect storm, I think it's a real skill set, like it's a real ability. But when it's not an ability, when it's not a skill set, it can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, especially I mean, because I wondered why my thoughts used to linger in certain areas, especially in depression. That's the worst, because you're trying to get things done and you can't get things done. So it's like almost like your thoughts are wandering when you're like, yo, I should be getting A, B, and C done, but you can't get them done because you're thinking about depressive shit.
Yeah.
But it loves to stay there because I believe I don't know what it is. I forget what it is, but I want to say serotonin. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I think it's when you watch those like reality shows that people they get that burst. It's like I think it's like the opposite of dopamine. So if like you do something great,
So I think that is okay. I think that is serotonin.
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
too much of that.
realistically, we're both morons, so we don't really know.
Good
but
call,
like,
yeah.
okay,
You know that
like
thing
I don't want
that
anybody.
feels like this.
It's like I'm not gonna say it, but it's like that scene from Half Baked back in the day. What was that thing we used to eat? You remember that?
Yes. Actually, it was funny because I was just talking about Half Baked the other day. He's like, "You ever suck dick for coke?" No, I can't say that I have. Bob Saget. Yeah, I didn't think so. He's all disappointed in him.
What a movie, bro! That movie, I'll tell you.
It's a classic. It's a bookmark. It's a stamp. It will never
really
go away.
is.
Yeah,
it really is. It that like stamped our generation for sure. That's one of those movies that stamped our generation.
And you can go back now. I mean, you could look at Dave Chappelle now, and you'd be like, "Holy shit, that was Dave Chappelle." Dave Chappelle had his hand in all of. I would believe he had his hand in everything, but he was like the who was the director of Men in Tights?
Oh, Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks. Okay, he is like another Mel Brooks. He's like Mel Brooks was before his time. Okay, still slapstick humor, and he did whatever he had to do. And also, Dave Chappelle was in Men in Tights, who made.
Yep.
I
know. Well, I'm one side, I'm on the other side.
I'm on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast.
Dude, I love that.
So
I love that scene. I do.
It's like he does the same thing, but he takes it even farther, right? But nobody else does that. People are afraid to do that, and I think Dave Chappelle is just I don't want to say like Mel Brooks. He is as aggressive as he was. I'll say that.
I put Dave Chappelle in super high regard because and I actually I don't know if it's even a new video, but it was also Cat Williams on Shannon Sharp's podcast. I don't know if you saw that, but Dave Chappelle and Cat Williams both. I don't want to start any trouble because I obviously have no clue about this subject, and you'll understand why in a second. But they were saying that black actors and comedians are forced to dress in drag before they're allowed to make it big. And the both of them called it out. And I'm sorry, but if two guys call it out, it's kind of, there's got to be something to it. So like if you look, I guess Steve Harvey did it. I guess Kevin Hart just did it. They named a whole bunch of comedians that weren't allowed to make it big until they put on a dress.
Wesley Snipes.
And it was just like, I thought about it. They named a couple of guys, and I was like, oh my God. And both those dudes were saying it. So, you know, Hollywood's got some weird things that they force through.
I have heard that. Now, I didn't hear it directly on Sharp's podcast, but I did hear that before. And it makes sense. If it's being said again and it's coming across my head again, then obviously there's something to be talked about or something to be said about it.
Yeah.
If you want to,
Cat Williams, like, he called it out, bro. He said everything. When Chappelle called it out, was a few years ago, and he didn't really. I don't think he went into too much detail. It might have been on like a talk show. It might have been on like Oprah or something like that.
Mm.
But Cat Williams did it on Shannon Sharp's show. Hold on, my backlight went a little dark here. See if that comes back up. He did it on Shannon Sharp's show. There was whiskey on the table. You know, he's just talking, and you know, it was. I found it interesting. I think if anybody hasn't seen that, they should go watch it. It's pretty good.
there was definitely something with Shannon Sharp and Cat Williams. Maybe this is from the past, but there was something recently that I had seen about, and he was more so talking about God and all the things that he had actually moved forward with, the different risks that he took. And I think it was Shannon Sharp that said, dude, you're not even scared. He's like, don't say that. I might not show that I'm scared, but I was scared, you know, to do all these things. So I'm gonna.
Cat said he was scared, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is
Shannon Sharp's never been scared of anything, but
look at the size of him.
But yeah, Cat might have been.
I know. Cat might have been scared of Sharp.
Bigger now than he was when he played.
Dude.
Right? It's crazy.
Yeah, they keep on getting bigger. Like, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. I saw, actually, it's funny you say that. Like, they keep on getting bigger. I saw it was a baseball player, high school senior in Texas. He was 6'2", 240, hitting absolute nukes. And it's like, where do they make these kids? Like, I don't remember anybody we went to school with that had even close to that skill set. And this kid's he's built like Captain America, can hit a ball a mile. It's like, man, and there's a lot of these kids out there. And I know that you see them now more because of social media and their ability to like create these scouting pages for themselves. But holy shit, yeah, they do build them different these days.
I will say this too. To make a really good point of what you're saying, there's so much more information that are brought to parents and whoever, you know, guardians, to go to the kids and say, hey, this is the information that we know that can help you, you know, produce better, right? The only problem is
absolutely.
When this stuff is brought to the table and they start practicing all this stuff, right? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But they're being overplayed, overused. There was a kid that I knew that was 13 or 14 years old, and all of a sudden he had a problem with like a plate in his shoulder because he pitched too much already. Yeah. And I'm like, that's nuts. But
yeah,
does that mean that the careers of baseball players are now going to be limited, not like what it used to be?
That's weird, right? Because you would think with the more information that you have, the better decisions that you could make, the longer you should be able to last in the sport or whatever it is. But, you know, like I'll tell you, so your listeners don't know, but I coach a bunch of baseball and softball teams, and you know, I'm pretty involved in the baseball program up here in Kingston. So there's a local kid here that great ball player, spends all his free time at a baseball field, a good kid, but plays a lot. He plays a lot, and he snapped something in his elbow towards the end of the season last year. And I haven't spoken to him or his parents about it, but you know, I know the kid throws a lot. I know the kid's always throwing a baseball, and there is an argument for overuse. And so Tommy plays on 2 travel teams, and if I had to guess, if neither team is good, he'll play probably 43 games this year, just travel ball. And you know, you have to really question what you're doing about your pitch counts. The one team that I coach on, the head coach, he's a great guy. He's one of the coaches for the school up here. We watch pitch counts very closely because they're just like, there's just nothing worth blowing a kid's arm up in a tournament. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I don't know about this other program. This other program, like they've got fantastic reviews. Everybody believes in them, but he hasn't played any games for him. I don't know what they're gonna do. And I if I had to be the guy that's on the sidelines counting my kid's pitches to protect his shoulder and his elbow, bro, I'll be that guy. We're not gonna do that.
Right.
So it's just it's crazy. You have to advocate for your kid. You have to watch their use. You have to be careful. Couple of the guys that I coach softball with, one of them is a physical therapist. And, one of the things that we practice all year long for softball. So all winter long, we're practicing inside at the YMCA here. And he's like, they really do need some downtime. So we've implemented like a program where we're making sure we get the girls together and they're just having fun getting more athletic. So they're not necessarily throwing a softball every practice. They're not necessarily swinging a bat every practice, but they're going to get together, build that team that they need to, because they're only 8 years old. So they have to build that team and then just do athletic things. Like we have them play kickball. We have them warm up. Like they've got to warm up and get stronger, but we have them play kickball. We have them play games that we create. We just want them to get better athletically because in the spring, when it's softball season, we know that's going to pay dividends. So that's the way we approach that overuse thing because it's a real possibility.
Yeah. And plus they're kids, right? Like they want to stay active. They want to do certain things. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know what it's like nowadays. We can get bored of doing the same thing all the time, and then it runs its course, How does Tommy feel about baseball? I mean, is he like, he's younger, so maybe he still has that high fire for it,
So I'll say right now is basketball season.
Okay.
And basketball is not his sport. He's having a good time. He's working hard, but he's not nearly as gifted naturally as he is with baseball. And I'm not saying that he's a first round pick or anything, but just baseball is more his speed. But you could not, if you gave him the opportunity to go anywhere and play baseball with anybody, he wouldn't tell you no. It wouldn't matter. He would say, I'll drive me in a snowstorm to Albany because we're going to go practice catching or something like that. And it's like, all right, dude, that's his thing.
Yeah.
That's his thing. That's his one thing.
When did you notice that he was like heavy into it? Before you said, hey, we're gonna sign you up for T-ball, or before we're gonna do this. When did you notice that he was like, you're like, holy shit, okay, this kid can throw a ball or hit something?
All right, so let me preface this by saying that there's a group of kids from our area that used to play recreational baseball that stopped playing just for travel. So those boys were removed from this scenario that I'm about to explain, just so you know.
Okay.
So it was he was 9, I think, and he was playing baseball with those guys, and really he was doing okay. He was keeping up, but nothing special. Those guys pulled out. Now he's 10, and at 10, I started coaching his teams again. Because I had stopped for a few years I was in the police department at the time. I was too busy, so I wasn't coaching. So I started coaching again, and I noticed that like he was obsessed with getting to the field, obsessed with like he knew that the bat bag and the equipment bag was in the back of my truck. He just wanted to be at the field. He wanted to get there early. He wanted to stay late, and it just started to develop that I could tell that he just wanted to be around baseball. So then the season started. And now that core group of guys that were on that elite travel team are gone, and he started to really show up as the best kid that was still in the league at that time, right? It was him and a couple of his buddies, and those guys really latched on. They started hitting like real singles. They started hitting real doubles. They started pitching well. They started making plays, and this is at 10, right? So I was just like, it is what it is, but I knew that these travel teams were choosing kids that were elite. And one of the guys was like, hey, you should have Tommy try out for a travel team. And he's like, he's good enough. And I was like, all right, well, I'll ask him if he wants to do it. So I asked him, do you want to do it? And he said, yeah, I want to try out for it. Because he's just always loved baseball. He's loved the game. He loved the stats. He loved the math. He loved the strategy. It's always been his thing. So So we take him to a tryout, and we have no expectations. We did not think he was going to make it. It was just, we're going to give it a shot, and if you don't make it, at least you know what a tryout feels like. And it was a few weeks before we heard anything, and he ended up making the travel team that he tried out for. And he was like on top of the moon. And he ended up on this team with some kids who were much better than him. And it was the best experience that I think he could have had at that time, because he ended up growing leaps and bounds just playing with those kids. Trying to keep up with them made him so much better. So by the time the rec season came around the next year, he was really doing his thing, really in his groove. That travel team, I've told you this story before, that travel team ended up being a disaster. And they ended up canceling the season like halfway through, taking all the money, and it was everything that's wrong with travel ball ended up happening on that team. And then he found the team that he plays on now, and it's been those couple of buddies that were really good. They're on the team now too, and they're all best friends, and it's just like a great situation for him. And in the process, I ended up coming onto that team to help coach, because a lot of those kids knew me anyway from coaching the teams in the previous years. So it seemed organic for him. It just ended up like really building, and like every year it was a little bit more intensity. And now, if you ask him, what do you want to do when you grow up? He wants to be a ball player.
That's pretty dope. That's
yeah.
Which, by the way, the team that he's on now also includes Hudson, who is,
yes.
If you might not know this, but on the show, Adam is known as the Jew. So
I do know that.
the audience knows him as the Jew. The Jew just had a beautiful little baby girl. So
congratulations, Adam.
Yeah. Congratulations, Adam. We hear the struggle. So,
dude, I get it.
I don't. I haven't been through that yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what? Someday you might, and it's like it changes your life for sure. But like, if you're not being realistic about how much it wears you down, then I don't even want to talk to you. Because like, if you're gonna act like super dad and you got it all under control, then bro, we can't even be friends.
I mean, fair enough. Yeah. And this is his first. Right, I might have to get his. I want to get his before and after on here sometime soon. So there you go. Right now, I already know he's definitely in the mode of losing sleep. So I don't want to get delirious him right now. I've seen the black bags in the pictures, and I said, okay, I know he's losing sleep. So
yeah, but that doesn't go away, bro. Like if you're waiting for that to end, like you got years before Adam is gonna be on the podcast again, then, because it doesn't go away.
I'll start going around and maybe like little phone calls here and there, and I'll just get clips until I make it actually.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll ask AI to put it together for me.
That's it. Just get enough audio to make AI work for you.
Yeah. Speaking of AI,
let's go.
You have spoken about different ways of actually increasing maybe different marketing skills and different ways of people's brands to expand, right?
Sure.
And I want to know some of the ways that you've actually dove into that or learned certain things, and where did it kind of start where you were like, okay, now I know there's a big story behind, where you came from, where you are now, and that journey in between. Right.
Okay.
But more recently, within the past year, you've really been diving in deep about tips and how to do X, Y, and Z, and how to expand and how to grow, and what is that journey like right now? And with that, I'm going to do a double question, because I'm going to bring you
a double question.
Okay.
That's a great thing to do to a guy with ADD. Let's go.
Yeah, I know it is.
Yeah.
I will keep you on track, by the way.
Okay, perfect.
But before that, I'm actually going to set up a segue. We're going to go back to when you said that you worked for the police department in Kingston.
Oh, God, okay.
I need to hear some of these stories, because that's part of the journey. You wouldn't be where you are now unless you would have left that behind.
So what's crazy is I can't tell you a lot of the stories. I can tell you some of like the really traumatic ones.
Yeah, the ones on Reels.
For the most part, the what?
The ones on Reels.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. a lot of them I would forget about immediately. But dude, it's not like I was Vic Mackey from The Shield, right? It's not like I was in firefights and all this stuff. I mean, there were some intense moments, but it wasn't like it's not like TV, right? And I don't want to make anybody think that I was like super cop because it wouldn't be fair to the guys that I worked with and the girls that I work with. But so I was a cop up here for 5 years in Kingston and almost 6 years, and eventually, like just the job, I wasn't cut out for it. So I needed, and long story short, I needed something to pay off some debt. So I wanted to start my freelance writing business, and it ended up being the segue that I needed to get out of police work. And it's like, thank God it happened, because if it didn't, dude, I don't even know what kind of shape I'd be in. Cause it's like, I think back and it's like, that's not even the person I remember being towards the end. And it's like, I don't know where I'd be if I hadn't left for writing. And, like the stories are nuts, dude. I think I said this in the video, in like my first week, guns drawn like 2 or 3 times. I saw what happens when somebody, a larger overweight man gets hit by a train. Because there's a difference. There's a difference between that and when like a thinner person gets hit by a train. Um, I've been in car chases where we did, I don't know. I remember looking down. I was on a side road in the city of Kingston, and I looked down at my speedometer, and it was over 80 miles an hour. And like we didn't know anything about this person that we were chasing, other than the fact that they were driving way too fast for what was going on. And I was like, why am I doing 85 miles an hour down a side road in the city where like at any second, any mistake I make could kill me or my partner or somebody else around me. And I backed off. And it's like, some of the stuff that those guys and girls go through, it's just nuts. And it takes a really special person to make it through a full career. And I have like nothing but respect for the ones that can do it and do it right. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always wondered what it was like, because look, I've met a lot of bad cops, a lot of good cops, right? I believe that there's an even keel with that. I as far as I know, I'm not on the inside. I've never been on the inside, but I've always met some pretty cool people and some pretty not so cool people. But
Yeah,
you could see why at times people would lean towards, you know what, I'm just going to be an asshole. You know why? Because and it's some of it strictly, I've been told, is because of the things that they do have to go through or the things that they do have to remember, and they don't want to remember it, but they remember it, and they're getting drawn through this mentality that is just cringing. B, won't let go. You're just sitting there thinking about it. So when you clock out, you're not really clocked out mentally. And I've heard the horror stories, and I can only imagine what it's like.
yeah, it's tough. There's a thing called accumulative PTSD, and what happens is like small bits of PTSD build up over time, and next thing you know, you got full blown PTSD through accumulation. So like that's stuff that you may not even notice until you full on are experiencing PTSD symptoms because it's added up over time. So like that really does happen. It happens to almost all police officers because of the shit they've had to do. And I like some of the stuff was cool. I'm not gonna lie. Some of the shit was cool. Like foot chases were awesome. Like when I caught somebody in a foot chase, dude, it was great. It was great. I didn't always catch them. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it was hard for me to get over a 6-foot fence where the kid who had, he's 17 years old and has 0% body fat can just catapult over it, where my little ass is trying to crawl up it like a kitten trying to get over the top of the fence, but I liked those. It was fun. Some of the interactions were a blast. It's crazy, but yeah, but like, and sometimes you need to be an asshole because you need to be an asshole. It's being nice isn't going to work. Being kind, helping guide somebody through a situation, that person doesn't give a shit if you don't talk to them the way that they know that they think commands respect. Then that you're not going to get their respect from them. So sometimes you've got to use their language. Sometimes you've got to use their tone. Sometimes you have to, you've always got to be a level up on them always. And, it's tough. It's always, every call is different. Every day was different. And, I'm just glad it's behind me.
And the thing is, you got to bring the leftovers back to your family.
You do. Yeah, absolutely. When when I was finally towards the end and I was writing and I was making enough money, we were still trying to pay off a couple of things, and then George Floyd happened, right? And my biggest fear was I was going to be going to work and I was going to have to either fight or break up or whatever with somebody that I didn't fully disagree with. Like a lot of the time, you and I can disagree with the fact that I think you shouldn't be selling drugs on the street, right? And I can disagree with the fact that you think you can do 80 miles an hour through the city, and I can disagree with a whole bunch of criminal activity. But when it's people that are voicing their opinions and they are allowed to do that, and crazy enough, maybe their opinion actually aligns with mine.
Yeah.
Like I got to the point where it's like I feel lost. I feel lost, and I was terrified of going to work every night for probably I don't know, probably 3 months.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So then my wife knew that, and she was like, "Hey, why don't you leave?" And I was like, "Okay, 2 weeks notice. Let's go. I'm out."
That's all you needed was Mama Bear to tell you, like.
That's it. That's it.
I don't know if you remember this. I'll bring up a past situation because you and I have had some pretty good times. Okay.
No, people don't know how long we've known each other.
They
We've known
don't.
each other 20 something years.
Yeah. So I actually since 2002.
Okay, so
Yeah.
22 years.
22
yeah.
years. One time when it was after we had graduated, and I was on a dating website, and I told you that I was actually going out with a police officer. Now, I don't know if you remember this story or not.
I think I'm remembering. Go ahead.
Okay. So, and I told you, I was like, yo, you know what? Like, dude, she's very attractive. She's very nice. She's cool. And I said, but there's something about it that maybe I think it was like the tomboyish thing that I kind of didn't go with me too well, right? And you cut me off, and you were like, "What's the matter, dude? Are you afraid of that she's gonna protect you on the date?" And you just full blown out did a whole scene. I mean, you were just like, and she got her dress on. You said, and all of a sudden she just hikes up her skirt, freeze, FBI, and you ran around the building corner.
Well, you know what, dude? That's what I thought police work was going to be like. Like that's what I thought it was. So, I believe it. It's
after that, I didn't see her again because I was actually, I'm going to be a big pussy if she pulls out a gun and she's protecting me.
You felt very emasculated.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know if I could do this.
Yeah. Well, there you go, dude. It probably takes a very special guy to marry a female cop and not feel emasculated. Like that dude's got to have cojones, bro. Like he's got nothing to prove. Good for that guy.
All right, so you leave the force, right?
Yep.
What's the journey beyond that? Where are we going now that you guys have decided this is not for me and we're moving into X? What does X look like and how does that start?
So, it was really good timing for me because, and this is ironic to hear, I'm sure for a lot of people to hear this, but COVID was phenomenal for me because I was getting into writing, really building up my business. I was making money, making more than I made at the police department, but I wasn't making enough for me yet. Right.
And when did you start writing?
It was right before COVID, okay. A couple of months before COVID. I think it was 2019. I think I started.
Okay.
So 5 years. Yeah. 5 years. So I was doing home improvement and construction stuff, right? I liked writing. I had done that. I had done that work for a long time. So it was a good segue for me. It was good for me to move to that. And when COVID hit, contractors were too busy to go to anybody's house and work for them. And at the same time, everybody was stuck home because, they couldn't go to work or whatever, and they were getting these checks. And so everybody started doing home improvement stuff on their house. So here I am just getting started in writing and the home improvement world. And I was at the right pay rate because I was still pretty new, so everybody could afford me. And just the amount of work that I had on my plate was bananas. Like I could write, I could just get a job every single day if I wanted it. And I started writing a lot, taking as many articles as I could, working as fast as I could. Part of the thing about having whatever flight of ideas I have is I absorb a lot of information all the time. So a lot of this stuff that I was writing, I could write without even researching because I'd either done the job or I'd read about it before and I knew what I was doing. And that's just kind of how my brain works. So here I am, like trying to build this business. COVID happens, everybody's staying home, and they couldn't get enough of the information that I was able to write. So very quickly, I was making the money that I wanted to make at the time. I also had a unique opportunity to be the lead editor for a men's interest site for a while. It's a site called nextluxury.com. And it was a site that got a lot of traffic. And the guy who I worked for bought that website just a couple of months prior to me going on board with them. And he was just a friggin' wealth of knowledge, dude. He understood. I don't know. I say the word SEO all the time because it's like regular for me, but I don't know if everybody understands what SEO is. That's like the tactics that you use to get Google to pay attention to you and put you on the first page of Google. So like this guy knew all of it. He was a critical thinker. He was generous, but also just like shared so much information with me at the right time. So here I am in COVID, tons of work, working for the right guy. All of these really great situations all happen at once. And next thing you know, I haven't had to look back ever since. And it's crazy because we thought when I left the police department that we were going to have to leave New York because it's so expensive. And it is, like, New York is expensive, but it was a couple of months before we realized, like, hey, we don't have to go anywhere. Like, we can make this work here. And it's been a blessing because I don't know that I can exist anywhere else. I'm kind of, it becomes part of your personality. You know what it's like to live in the Hudson Valley. You don't really want to go anywhere else.
No, I don't. It's almost like everything else is dumbed down when you get there. Like, it's good for vacation, but you realize that you cannot stay there.
Plus, dude, I don't want to go south where it's cheaper and have to have conversations with everybody I meet. Everybody like, hey, how are you? Like, no, it's like I'm good. I just want to get this bottle of milk and I want to get out of here. I don't want those interactions. I want to just seep into the background when I want to. And that's actually kind of an interesting point because when I left the police department and I was working from home and I didn't have to leave, I started to get kind of like a hermit a little bit and, really felt like I didn't want anybody to ever see me or notice me. And I just wanted to bleed into the background and do my thing on the internet. And I don't know what it took to get over that. A lot of it, I think, had to do with baseball because I became a board member of the local league and I had a lot more social interactions after that I couldn't avoid. And I kind of came out of it, but it was a weird moment where for about a year, I just didn't want to interact with anybody.
Is there so you say that you kind of want to stay in that little crab area like a hermit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is there a sense of power that comes with that? Like knowing that you're putting out content, you want to be in the background, you don't want the light on you, but yet you know that you're the one distributing these writings or anything like that?
If I was to look back at the way I felt then, I would think, it was awesome, dude. It was awesome because I was on, like, one of the companies that I've written for years is BobVila.com. I grew up watching Bob Vila. I watched This Old House. I also write for This Old House. All of these shows, and here I am now producing content for them. And it was, it's articles, it's blog posts. It's not like I was on a construction site with them or filming, but like I was doing what I felt was my part for these companies and these shows that I really looked up to. So if I look back, I mean, first off, it's new, right? This was all new to me. I went from having a gun on my hip every day to sitting behind a keyboard. But it was it maybe there's a sense of power, like, hey, like I can sit back and do this and this is awesome and I don't have to leave to do what everybody else has to do. Maybe. Plus I wasn't struggling during COVID and like a lot of people were.
Yeah. I guess in the more of the sense, if I was in those shoes, right, I guess the mentality that I have in my head is the fact that I can put out this stuff and mysteriously nobody really knows who I am. You know, like I can't be found. I don't want to be found. I'm on the board for this, this, and this, and these are the only times that people can actually see me. So, like in my head, it's like I control when people want to see me. I control what I put out. Obviously, people have to like the stuff that you're putting out, right? So it's got to be approved or what have you, right? But that kind of power, that's what I meant by that, because it's almost like, yes, you do have that. You are, you know what, I'm going to keep sinking into the back shadow, and like that's my mindset. That's what I meant by that question, but I didn't think of it from yours.
I think you think of it that way because that's not you. You would not do that. Like you have to be around people. You enjoy people. Like I enjoy people. I'm not saying I hate people, but like I'm not as outgoing and constantly interacting with people as you are, right? You see like what, a couple thousand people a day? I see five, right? I see five, and during baseball season or whatever, like, and then there's like another 10 on whatever team that I'm going to that day.
Right.
And for the most part, like I don't have those interactions. So I think that you look at it that way because that's how you would feel. I think for me, maybe it was probably more scary, dude. Honestly, like when you start like becoming like reclusive, you're constantly friggin' scared. You're constantly scared like somebody's going to threaten your reclusivity. Somebody's going to like make me interact with them that day. And I didn't want that shit.
You know what? You have a point with that. When COVID hit, right? Like I'm still the one delivering the mail and I'm out there. I was doing 6 days a week, right? Now, as I'm out there, the people were actually, they didn't get enough one-on-one time with other humans, so they would meet me out at the mailbox because they needed somebody new to talk to, right? Dude, you have no idea.
Yeah, I
right?
bet, dude.
But after a while, when this is going on for a while and then you don't see anybody for a while and we're not going out, everything is closed, right? Dude, I went to I forget what it was. It wasn't a wedding, but it was definitely a get-together. I was nervous before I went. I was I was like, what the fuck's going on right now? What's happening? And at the end of the night, I was like, that did not go well. And it was because I was like, I am not as sharp as I used to be. I was not, because we didn't have, I'll say, practice. We're not in our little groups. And if you don't do that, you will lose the wittiness. You will lose, the sharpness that you have to your conversations. The jokes, the one-liners, you know what I mean? Maybe they're here up top, but they're not spilling out anymore.
For sure. And I think another thing that you lose is, you're home and you're just absorbing social media content, right? And if like you and I have always been people who like to laugh, right? So I'm sure that you spend as much time watching funny content as I do. I know because sometimes you post it, right? And sometimes you don't know, you forget like the filter of when to use certain lines of comedy and when not to, and when you were removed from society for a while and then you're thrown back into it, and you just like this person who's been absorbing social media comedy forever, and now you're just running your mouth to anybody who'll listen. It's not exactly probably ideal. You're probably not like your best moments, But yeah, I think it's crazy. Like here, I was pro mask, and let me tell you why I was pro mask. I never wanted to stop wearing a mask because people left me alone. Like people didn't know who I was. I'd get the biggest friggin' mask I could get. It'd cover as much of my face as I could, and I'd put a hat on so you didn't know it was me. And I would go into the store. I wouldn't say shit to anybody. I'd get what I needed, and I'd be out. And when everybody was like, "Oh, we're gonna get rid of the masks," thank God. I was like, "Wait, hold on. I kind of like this. This was working for me. What are we doing taking the masks away?" Like, I wasn't all for it, but it wasn't really to protect anybody. It was just the fact that I wanted to be left alone. And I think that, I just said 10 minutes ago that it was like that perfect storm of opportunity. But I also think removing myself from interactions with people from like, I had them during COVID because I was still at the police department. So I was still interacting, and I removed myself from them. And then next thing you know, everything's shutting down. We're all kind of staying away from each other. I think that was also a perfect storm for me that probably a lot of people went through.
Yeah.
A perfect storm of like negativity.
Fuck yeah, dude. Like, I mean,
yeah,
it was nuts how everybody, like you said, social media. Everybody grabbed onto it. Why? Because it was the first thing next to us. And if you were not already addicted to your phone, you were after that. You know, that, I mean, you want to talk about Netflix and chill? That was everybody's hobby after that.
Yeah.
So you're in the process now of starting to write. What I meant beforehand too when I asked that, and apologies on my end, meaning, did you write at all when you were a police officer?
Yeah. So I overlapped the two.
Okay.
I wanted to, long story short, is we went on too many vacations one year and we had just too many bills and I wanted to pay some of those off. So I started writing because I wanted to pay off some bills without, I didn't want to go to the police department anymore, dude, because like I knew I could go work overtime, but every second that I was there, I was risking my life. And like that math started to become very real for me. Like it was go work at the police department or where I could make $45 an hour, or I could start something on my own and not have to leave my house. And the truth of it is that I was on enough overtime calls that really went south that I really didn't like working overtime because it just seemed like it was bad luck for me. So, you know, it was just like the opportunity was there, and I decided, hey, the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to write about cars because I've always loved cars, you know that. And I quickly learned that you're not going to make any real money that way. It's kind of hard. You can make money, you can write about them, people will pay you, but there's other niches that make more money. So that's what I started pursuing, and that's when I found home improvement and construction. It was just a perfect move.
Now,
I did overlap.
How do you get into meeting somebody that knows all this information about SEO? And because I'm naive to it, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people are, and they're afraid to ask, right? So how do you get into meeting a gentleman like this and or just sparking up a conversation and it's starting to make sense to you now after the information given, right? And when you get that information, where does it go beyond that? Where does that really start to, you're like, holy shit, now we're rocking and rolling.
You know, I don't know that I felt like I was rocking and rolling at that time. Like I don't feel like I've been rocking and rolling until I would say the last 6 months. And it's not that things have gotten that much better. It's just that I've been really I've made a pointed effort to get to where I am right now over the last 6 months, and I've been successful with every pointed effort that I've made. So now I feel like I really have momentum. But back then, dude, I'm telling you, man, it was luck. It was luck. I mean, I'm somebody who can carry on a conversation. I have a couple of skills. I found the right applications and they had the right, you know, requests of me, and I had the stuff it was just friggin' luck, dude. And I'm so lucky, and it's unbelievable. And there was a point with that gentleman. His name was Daniel, really good dude. There was a point with him where I looked around me and all of the people on my team they went from being Americans to being either Australians or Filipinos, and those folks will work for a lot less money. So I realized I was in a situation where everybody around me was making a lot less and I was getting priced out. And dude, we had a conversation about it. Like that's how good this dude was. Like I was like, hey man, he's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, all right, I see. And he was like, cool, everything good? I was like, dude, I appreciate it. And it was just a good relationship. And dude, it was luck. It was luck. Right place, right time. You know, I had some skills and I was able to use them at the right place and the right time, met the right people. But if you want to learn how to do SEO, I know a YouTube channel you should check out at Tom Scalisi, and you can see everything that I'm explaining for freelance writers and content writers and bloggers. So don't miss that. Check that shit out.
Only took you fucking 15 minutes to plug that in. Jesus Christ. All right.
Well, sorry, buddy. Sorry. I'm just so excited to be here. I forgot what I was doing.
Plugging your shit in. That's what we're doing.
Plugging my shit in. Yes. Go to YouTube. Go to Tom Scalisi. You'll see right now, I think I have like a dozen videos up and a bunch of shorts. I think I have more videos than subscribers. So if you guys would subscribe, that would be awesome.
Yeah. 100%. And I want to say this. We had a conversation when we went over, we had a mandate coffee date, right? And which by the way, I had those little butterflies before I saw you again, just to let you know.
It was a great day. It was a great day.
It was. Set the whole day off for me. We started in the morning, and I was like, shit, we're starting days off like this again? Wow.
That's it.
So when we left, we actually discussed a lot about subtitles, or not subtitles, what is it, like wording and making the word in the fonts and the kind of fonts and the lettering and the colors of the lettering and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah, like the psychology behind all of the copy, really. Yeah.
Yes. So, and I noticed that you started to go into that, and have you noticed a change in that? And when, like, you started almost immediately, it wasn't far after our conversation that you were just kind of you were going.
All right. So let me ask you, what specifically are you asking me about? Are you asking me about the clips, the text on the shorts that I've been doing?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking about?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm cheating, bro. That's how I'm doing that. I'm cheating.
There's no such thing as
AI
cheating.
program. Yeah, dude. I make the video, I put it on YouTube, and then I load that video into an AI program that takes those things, breaks them into clips, and does all the text for me. So I am cheating.
That's not cheating.
All right, well, it's not cheating, but I'm not doing that. It's doing it for me.
And that's fine. But you're asking it to do it because you know that it does whatever it is that you're looking for it to do, right?
Bro, tell me that doesn't look cool.
No, it does.
Right?
It does.
Tell me it doesn't look cool. Right?
Yeah.
So that's like the thing. And I watch like Alex Hermosi, and a lot of the clips are based off Alex Hermosi's style, and they just look awesome. They're like, the text looks cool, the right words are green, the right words are red. They put emojis in there and icons and shit, and it just looks awesome. So like, why wouldn't you do that? And if I think that looks awesome, and I'm somebody who's like somewhat on the inside of the marketing world, and I kind of understand how the psychology of all of it works, everybody's got to think that looks cool. Right. So it's just, it's, why wouldn't you do that?
And I notice it too, because like when you do see certain letter or certain words come up and they are highlighted in another way, your brain is going to switch over to this, to switch over to that, and easy flowing on this word, be like, oh, that does make me think a little bit differently. And you're like, I am paying more attention. I'm not just swiping over to the next video. It's got your attention.
Right. Yeah, no, it's cool. That program that I use, for everybody who doesn't know, so what I do is I'll make a YouTube video about some aspect of freelance writing or blogging or marketing, and then I take the clip, I use the URL once it's loaded onto YouTube, and I put it into a program called Opus Pro, and I think it costs me like $10 a month, and Opus Pro cuts it up into different clips and then does all of the text, and everything I'm saying shows up down bottom. What do they call that, Brian? They call that like it's not a teleprompter. What the hell do they call that?
Almost like subtitles?
Like caption. Yeah, subtitles. So they show up down bottom and it looks awesome. And that's what we're talking about. But I think like if you're taking social media seriously, you've got to buy tools. You've got to use these things to save the amount of time that you can take, because you only have so much time to do this stuff. And like for me right now, I edited a video earlier today. I was on my second round of editing for it, and I did 2 hours today. I did an hour and a half yesterday. So it's 3.5 hours for a 15-minute video. And it's like, Jesus. So if you can speed it up with some AI, bro, I am all about it. And like, you're not going to find a lot of freelance writers that are like, hey, let's go with AI. But like, I'm one of them. Let's do it. Bring the AI on.
Well, though, I think that's the big, I don't want to say war, but the big debate, right? Is AI going to help us or hurt us? Is it going to, because there's one end of where you're describing exactly how it does help us, right? Hey, it makes shit a little bit more efficient, helps us understand a little bit more. And then on the other hand, we take it to the far other end of, the Terminator, right? Like we're all going to be gone, and, it takes away our jobs. And, what is your aspect on going too far? What is your aspect on it doesn't really help us as much? It may start to hurt us.
So first off, I'm a huge Terminator fan, and I have been for years. So when AI really started to become mainstream, I was like terrified. I was like, this is freaking Skynet. This is gonna happen, and it's not gonna take long, right? And dude, like, like a part of me still is worried. Like there's no way that like there's not a program out there that can't start really thinking for itself at some point. I mean, we don't know the shit that the military has, and I'm not gonna get into like some conspiracy theory stuff, but we don't know what they have. But
I will.
They got some cool shit. Yeah, there you go. I will. No, they got some cool shit, dude. So so with AI at first, I was so scared I wouldn't even look at it. It was like in the room with me, and I would be like this, like I'm not gonna even think about it. And then eventually I started to use it, and I use it in so many different ways. I use ChatGPT all the time, and I use Opus Pro, and I have a couple others that I use. But on its own, AI is useless because it uses. I think I explained this in one of my videos. It uses a database of information that we give it. So it's using our data to create its thoughts or it's 100% based on what we give it. So yes, at some point, some mad scientist could create Skynet if he wanted to, but as of right now, the tools that we have are just beautiful, dude. They really are. What I do, for instance, I wrote an article the other day where I had to it was construction outlook for 2024. And I had to pull information from like 6 or 7 different articles. So I don't have time for 6 or 7 articles to read these things, right? So I copy and paste them in a ChatGPT and I ask them to summarize it for me. And ChatGPT saves me hours of research. Now, I'm not asking it to write the article for me because I think that is too far. I think that's what you're saying. That's too far. But I do think using it to streamline what I do on a daily basis, if I'm not doing it, then there's other writers that are going to get further ahead of me all the time because they are using it. So it's just like, I think you have to be ethical about it. I think you have to be honest. I think you have to be careful, but they're just ChatGPT specifically, it's so flexible. If you're good at telling it what to do, it'll give you the results that you're looking for. And I actually made an argument in a video that I think maybe one of the newer skill sets that people are going to have to develop is the ability to talk to AI, because a lot of people will find talking to AI and getting the results they want super frustrating because it takes a certain amount of skill and a way to explain the situation. And if you're not somebody who can explain because you're not a good writer, then you're not going to get what you want from AI. So a lot of people who are terrified, specifically in my field, freelance writers, copywriters, content writers, bloggers, they're terrified of AI, but it's only as good as the prompt you give it. So if you're a good writer, you can get what you need from AI to stay at the top. That's the way I look at it. I hope that ages well. Like I hope like we don't look back at this in 10 years and we're like, oh, well, Tom's an idiot. Look at him on the side of the road in a cardboard box. But I think that you need to use it. It's a tool, and the better you get at using that tool, the better you're going to get at your job. That's what I think. I love it. There's things about it that I love. Plus, dude, have you seen Midjourney and all these like image generators?
Yeah, actually, one of my buddies just did a hip hop video, and AI that he hired a dude named Dylan over at Poughkeepsie to do this, and the AI, I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah, dude, like it's just
remarkable.
Insane. There are obviously limitations to what it can do, and here's like people. There was some information recently, I can't remember, about the ability to make AI videos. Yeah, well, AI videos, they take a long time, and the video is gonna be really short clips, and it's not necessarily. Can you imagine if you spent a day writing the prompt that you wanted to create the AI video and you had to wait a day to get it back, and then that video that's only 15 seconds long wasn't any good? Can you imagine like how frustrating that would be? And I think that's where we are right now. So if people can wrap their brain around AI, if they can learn how to use it, learn how to speak to it, I think it's a game changer. I think it's a true game changer. I have a buddy, John, on Instagram, it's Data with John, at Data with John. He's in Texas and he's a programmer, and he got a hold of me one day. He's like, dude, ChatGPT just wrote a program for me. It was just amazing. Like it was super clean. I was like, I know. I was like, so you either implement it or, I didn't say this to him because he's 12 times as smart as I am, and he knew this, but it's like, implement it or be left behind, and that's it.
Yeah, I guess there's no other, like, I mean, you're looking at it, right? It's giving you the answer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? You gonna ignore it?
Right. And what you're saying earlier, right, is like the good writers are going to know how to articulate what they have to say to Chad GPT, or what was it?
Exactly. ChatGPT, that's the one
Okay.
I'm speaking of. But yeah, exactly. If you need to write a prompt, you got to put the prompt together, and the prompt has to be good enough that ChatGPT knows exactly what you want. And then if you get a result and it's not what you want, you need to give it another prompt to get it to tailor that result to exactly what you want. And I think that's a skill set that we're going to see. I don't know how long that'll be a popular skill set, because at some point AI will be so good that you just have to think of what you want and it's gonna do it. But as of right now, I think that if you really want to master AI, it takes a certain skill set, and those people who have it will become valuable.
Did you? I don't know if it was Chad, but somebody had asked the AI to create a version of the Family Matters. Okay, have you seen this?
No.
Okay, a version of Family Matters based upon how it was described. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, they made it. This is the creepiest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay? I mean, like, shadows turn into faces and it turns around and turns into a person. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm going to send it to you when I get a chance. I'm like, but again, it goes back to articulating. Exactly. You know what I mean? But I think
Some of it's creepy though. Some of those results you get are creepy.
yeah, I can and everybody has, dude, everybody has one of these smiles like
Yeah,
dude,
yep.
it is so creepy.
Bro, look at the hands in AI generated images. A lot of the times they've got a sixth finger, or like maybe they've got two thumbs, maybe they've got all thumbs. Like, some of it's weird, dude. Some of it's very weird. It'll get better, but if you look, sometimes you'll create like you'll ask it to create an image and the person will have three legs. And I'm like, legitimately three legs, not like, I'm making a joke here. Like, this person will have three legs. And it's like, what the fuck was that? That's not what I asked for.
Yeah, I did not
But
ask
yeah,
for this.
it could be weird. Like, I asked it at one point to make a Terminator. Like, I wanted it to do Terminator for the video that I made about AI. And it had the Terminator look just like Arnold, looking good, holding an AK backwards at itself. I was like, what is this? Like, what are we doing? Do we not know which end of the gun it's supposed to hold? But it's very weird. But if you keep trying, if you get better at the prompts, you can. Have you seen the one with the Simpsons?
No.
Oh, dude, they did AI generated realistic images of the Simpsons. So basically, they took the Simpsons, they put the prompt into, I think it was Midjourney, and they said create realistic images of the Simpsons, and they did every character. They did Bart, they did Marge, they did Smithers, they did all of them. And you're like, yeah, dude, if I saw him in person, I would be like, yeah, that's Bart Simpson.
No shit.
But the images are so good, you could actually picture meeting that person in person. It's nuts. AI is crazy, and it's like, dude, if you don't figure out how to use it, if you're somebody who's in a field that AI is already touching, you better figure out how to use it really fast.
That's fair enough. I gotta ask you. So you start writing for Bob Vila, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about? Like what? Like obviously, I mean, you had the right place, right time already, right? Like, was that part of the right place, right time, or was it all connected
dude,
in one big string?
I wish I could give you like a better answer, but it really was right place, right time. They were hiring, they were expanding. I got in with them when it was the media company that owned them at that time when they were hiring was called Taunton Press. And then they quickly were purchased by, I think they were purchased by Recurrent right away. So I was with them. We were smaller still because Bobvila.com was not that big at that point. And then Recurrent bought them, and it was like it was like throwing fuel on the fire, and things just took off. And here I am again, being lucky enough to be like at the right time. And next thing you know, I'm getting, 10, 15 articles a month. I'm writing constantly. The money that I was making kept increasing because when Recurrent took over, they started to pay the writers a little better, and it was just, dude, just like serendipitous. Like, that's the only way I can explain a lot of that. Was just serendipitous. And it was like that I wrote for This Old House. I wrote for Bob Vila. I write for Family Handyman, all those big home improvement brands. I am or was writing for them, and things just took off. But I moved over the last year and a half. I've been focusing on the construction aspect of content writing and copywriting because I do love that as well. And I get to work with a lot of really interesting people who are building software, people who are making changes in a field. The construction field hasn't changed much in 150 years. And now with this new wave of technology, construction is now looking at technology and AI and all of these different things and saying, okay, we've missed the boat for 150 years. We haven't kept up with technology, but now we need to take this seriously. And now here I am again in the right spot, writing the content for these new software companies and these new programs and all this really cool shit. And I'm meeting awesome people, and it's just been really like I'm blessed. I don't like it's amazing.
Have you met Bob Vila?
I don't even know if Bob Vila owns the website anymore. No, I haven't met Bob. I would love to meet Bob, but I think Bob just hangs out in his house in Miami now.
I mean,
I don't even know if he still owns. Like I think I think he sold his name a long time ago, and now he's just doing his thing.
Do you think his name is actually probably it's probably like Jorge or something?
No, dude, it's Bob Vila. His story is super. It's pretty humble. He was like an architecture student and ended up making like $7 $7 an episode for the original This Old House because it was public broadcasting. It still is, but they made no money, and he was another person who was there at the right time, right place, right time, and then eventually, as that grew, he was able to make tons of money. But yeah, his upbringing was pretty humble. Seems like a good dude, to be honest with you.
Now, did he come? I don't know how much you know about him, but did he come down from Miami, or is that where he grew up? Or
yeah, that's where he's from. Okay. And what's funny is like anybody who's ever watched Home Again or This Old House, where Bob Vila's been on there, will probably agree with me. If I was on a job site with Bob Vila and he was rolling around and he was asking the questions that he asked, I would lose my mind. I'd be like, Bob, not today. Bob, get out of here with that question today, because he would go over to whoever was working and he would ask them a question he clearly knew the answer to. They would answer him, and like, I know this is what good TV looks like, but it was what homeowners needed to see. They wanted to see the interaction between the contractor and the general contractor. But as somebody who understands contracting or construction, it's like, dude, why are you asking me that question right now? Like, let me go. I'm putting in a header right now. It weighs a lot. I don't need to answer your question as you're walking around in khakis and boat shoes. Please give me a break. Like, he was, if you were on a job site with him and you were a pro, you would lose your mind. And but he built a real legacy for himself.
Yeah, I guess, being relatable, right? Like, asking the questions for the people who don't know the answers, because
yes, absolutely.
Those are the people that are afraid to ask, step out of their comfort zone and learn about the industry that they're really wanting to crave to learn more for.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, those were cool shows, and they were groundbreaking because no one else was doing that at the time. Nobody was looking into construction projects being built, or, there's always been a media outlet for pros in that field, but never really for homeowners that want to see this stuff happen. There's always been magazines and stuff for pros, but for the people who wanted to know like what an addition on the top of their house looked like, when they got TV Guide and they were like, oh crap, they're going to do an addition at the house in Connecticut this weekend. That was a big deal. Yeah. And that was the start of all those DIY channels and all those DIY programs. That was the start of it all.
That's really cool. You've been in the construction mindset, or, you're kind of into it a lot. How much more would you say you knew, and how much more would you say you learned going into it? You said you knew, X amount, right? Like, you knew however much. How much more do you think that you learned when you actually got in there and started writing about it?
Oh man, I gotta answer this without making it boring. A lot of the construction stuff is
61%.
boring. Yeah, no, a lot of the construction stuff is boring to people who aren't into it. But I ended up with some companies that had good budgets and they were willing to pay me, and I ended up going down a bunch of rabbit holes into different aspects of construction. Like for one, I was working for a company called Level Set, and they would teach contractors how to make sure that homeowners and project owners couldn't screw them when it came to payment. So down that road, dude, I could talk for days now about how a contractor can protect themselves and contractor licensing and insurance requirements and all this stuff. Like all of that, those are things that I knew about, but didn't go. I've never been down the rabbit hole on them. And then when I started writing and I went down the rabbit hole on them, it's like, damn, now my guy's an expert. Like I'm there. Like I can answer those questions. So yeah, you still learn a lot, dude. I still learn a lot every day. It depends on what the article is. Sometimes I can write an article because I can write it in no time at all because I've written it before for somebody else. And it's like stuff I know like the back of my hand. And sometimes I've got to do, like I said, 8 pages of research just to kind of get an idea of what I got to write about. And it's cool in that way, dude. It's different every day.
So, like, going down that rabbit hole, you can now, like, cross the T's and dot the lowercase j's.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of lowercase j's that I can cross on a lot of different rabbit holes. Like, it's nuts. Because the thing is, like, the internet, dude, like, it's abundant. It's abundant. There is just so much, and you can spend so much time learning anything, or, there's just so many topics, so many different websites, and so many different blogs and content creators. There's just so much information. So for me, I live in that world now. That's the world that's where I make my money, and it's just like people I don't think really understand the gateway they have in front of them when they sit down at the computer or pick their phone out. It's just nuts. The amount of information on the internet is bananas.
Is there anything in particular that maybe you remember? You've gone down, I'm guessing, tons of rabbit holes, right? I mean, it's obviously. But was there anything that you learned where you were actually like, holy shit, I didn't know anything about that, or maybe that surprised you, like you thought you knew maybe a little bit more, and then you came out of it, you were like, holy shit, I really didn't know that much about that, or shocked you?
Well, what's funny is that a lot of the time what I do is I'll end up in what's called like a content silo. And what that means is that there's a topic that I'm writing about, and I'm going to write about that main topic, which is the silo, but I also have to write about all of the support content underneath it. So it can be almost like a series, right? And it could be 15 articles. And that happens where I'll get a 15 article series, and next thing you know, I'm writing about every aspect of something. And by the end of it, it's like I could recite it in my sleep at that point. There's a lot, like licensing. Licensing was huge. I did a series of 50 state licensing. So how to become a contractor, like how to get a license in 50 states, all different types of contractors. That was a series in itself. And then I've done insurance requirements, I've done accounting, contract types, I've done all this stuff. And all of it is stuff that like I had an idea of, but then I get to the end of it and it's like you don't know how deep it goes until you dig in and you go.
Because it sounds like some of those things can be very word based. You know what I mean? And extreme, like, okay, say Arkansas will be different from New York. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you want your license in Arkansas, yeah. It's going to be different from New York, and it's because of X, and it's because of Y. And you have to do this in New York, but you actually don't have to do that to get this here over in Arkansas. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, that's it. It's essentially, and it's like that for anything, dude. Like, it's not just construction. Anything that you want to write about, or any topic you want to write about, the information is so deep. If you were to write about, I don't know, are you a sneakerhead? Are you a big sneaker guy?
No, but I'm telling you right now, you got people who listening are.
Well, so they understand this. Like, there are people who understand like the stitching that was used on the original like Air Force Ones, right? Like that information is on the internet, and why we care about a shoe that was created 35 years ago or whatever it was. It's like the information's there and we can find it if we want to, and it's bananas. So it's not just like construction's boring for most people. I find it exciting, but like the aspect of it is boring. But writing about any topic that interests you, you can go down a rabbit hole in a rush. Like it can be pretty crazy. You could find yourself 3 a.m. in the morning still trying to research a topic or getting to understand an aspect of what you're trying to write. It's crazy.
That's me in football. Yeah, I look at stats. All of a sudden, I'm looking at stats for 2 hours, 3 hours, and I'm down a rabbit hole of like trying to figure out the person who did it. The first time in the 1950s or 60s, right?
Yeah, that's me with basketball and the NBA, dude. Like, I went through a weird rabbit hole where I couldn't get out of the 90s, like 90s NBA, bro. I was in it.
Really?
I was doing so much research. Yeah, that was it, dude. That it was those days were, in my opinion, those were the NBA heydays. I love those days. Those are the days we grew up with. So doing the research on like MJ and Barkley and Olajuwon and all those guys that were like late 80s, 90s, I could stay in that road forever.
That was my favorite player was Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, you can't be that small. It's like Altuve, right? You can't be that small and make it to the big league. You have to be talented. You have to be talented. So I gave him a lot of respect.
Yeah, for sure. He deserved it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So was it Spud Webb or Muggsy Bogues that was in Space Jam? Was it Muggsy Bogues? I think it was Muggsy Bogues. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Spud Webb wasn't on there. So, like Muggsy Bogues, that'd be pretty good. Spud Webb didn't make it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like but Space Jam, dude, like even that movie was amazing. It's just, I could go down those rabbit holes all day.
So I'll ask you this question. And a question I'm going to ask you because it's the biggest topic, and or with basketball, who wears 23 better?
I would say MJ without a doubt.
Okay, without
a doubt. Yeah, I don't care how many points the man has. MJ is on top, and I like the Lakers. I like to watch the Lakers. I like watching LeBron. I like, it's fun, but I like what Kobe did, 24. Like that was I'm one up in MJ, but for me it's gonna be MJ's the GOAT. You just watch those clips, dude. Watch those clips.
I think.
And then who my second GOAT is? Dr. J.
Dr. J.
So watching him dunk, the things he used to do. Watch those highlights, bro, and tell me that guy isn't top 2 all the time. I don't care.
Did you ever hear about Shaq? And when he was, I think it was in high school or something like that, his dad went to go come and watch him play, right? And he was trying to do something under the hoop or whatever, right? And all of a sudden he either messed up or he missed a shot or whatever, and his dad came right out on the court, and he said like timeout or something like that, and he dragged Shaq's ass outside. He was like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Well, I was just doing my doctor." And he said, as soon as I said doctor, he's like, he smacked the shit out of me. He was like, "You're not Dr. J.
No,
you go in there, you be Shaq." And he went in and he's like, since then I just started dunking. I just started ripping the boards down.
That's funny because, obviously Dr. J was just like one of the most athletic guys of all time. But, Shaq has a skill set. And I actually watched a video the other day of Shaq. Oh, he was getting in his son's ass. Well, he was telling him, you don't dunk soft. You don't dunk soft. He said, Daddy will pay for the backboards. You dunk hard. And that's Shaq's skill set.
He said, and that was the thing. He said from that day forward, he tried to, his goal was to try to break the backboard. And I was like,
to come down with that rim in his hand.
Yeah. Like that was nuts. And you know what the thing is? Like, obviously it's different nowadays, right? Everything's made differently. Everything's, but also back then was different. You want to talk about, and I don't know much about basketball back in the day. Like I know very little, but I can maybe keep up until people start talking about all the different names and all the different stats. But I will say this. Back in the 80s and the 90s and even the 70s, okay, it was a lot more hard hitting, okay? They let you fight.
Yeah.
You would catch a fucking, a fist to the jaw and to the eye, okay? I don't think LeBron could handle that. I don't think anybody in this time frame right now could handle that kind of, getting tossed around. And guess what? We're not leaving. Dennis Rodman was on the Bad Boy Bullets. Okay, like they were fighting every other game.
Oh, the Pistons, you mean, right?
What did I say? The Bullets?
Yeah, there's the Pistons, yeah.
The Pistons,
No,
Detroit Pistons, yeah.
They were brutal, dude. But you know what the Pistons did? They owned the paint, bro. They owned the paint.
Yeah.
You didn't step on your foot in the paint without getting hit for it. Look, I will disagree. I think LeBron could have played in any era. I think that he is incredibly strong, incredibly gifted, and I think he could adapt if he wanted to, right? And there, like, the other thing is, like, I love Giannis. I love the way Giannis plays, and I think he could play in any era. But you're right. I think when things were super physical, when you knew you were taking your life in your hand when you were driving to the paint, you had to be really committed to getting that layup, dude. Like that had to be worth it.
They weren't just
Those
giving
2
it to
points
you.
had to be worth it. No, not at all. And it's a different era. It's not like that right now. Also, like, the emphasis on the 3-pointer has changed a lot, and now guys don't even have to worry about the paint because you got your center like set up in the corner dropping threes. Like, that's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a totally different world. Yeah, and I think it's probably good and bad that it's changed. You know, it's a little bit more respect in the paint would be good, but at the same time, people really shouldn't be beating the shit out of each other on national television.
Unless you're in the octagon, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, watching LeBron, like, I can watch LeBron, and it's not just because I already, hey, why you hate on LeBron? I'm gonna get it anyway. But it's not that I hate on him, because the guy is a talent that it's gonna be I don't know however long until another person like him shows up, and everybody could put up an argument right now that there is somebody already here.
That will be his record for a long time. That record's going to be his for a long time. Nobody's going to touch that.
No, I think in almost every sport right now, it's slowly just kind of like we discussed baseball and how I think that the average playing time for longevity playing time for players now is declining. And whether or not technology can, help with that, I don't know. But I think, in most things, basketball, baseball, football, like, I don't think people are going to be playing for as long as we think. And I think those records are going to be sitting there for a lot longer because of that.
I have some reasons I believe that to be true. Number one, we're paying them a lot more money right now. So you can get paid a ton of money for a shorter career, make your exit, and you're good. And maybe now you've avoided some of the concussions, and maybe now you've avoided some of the damage that has been done to your knees because you've got your money and you can go. Yeah. So I agree with you. I do think that is going to be a factor. Also, you could just look at load management now for all sports. Load management is different than it's ever been. They will keep players out of important games because they don't want to overwork them. And, that's a fact. So if you're not in there for as many games, and how many freaks can go 20-something years? But 21 years, I think LeBron is at this point. Dude, I can't do anything for 21 years. Like, that's nuts. And he's playing basketball at the highest level possible.
It was hard to beat me for 38 years. Like,
exactly.
This guy's with everybody else in the locker rooms with all these other personalities.
Yeah.
I think I listened to there was a podcast years ago, and I was listening to one of his trainers. And, after you work out and everything, you're going to have a, protein shake or what have you, right? And I watched a couple of his workouts. I was like, that's intense. You're talking, like defensive drills on a treadmill, and then you have an oxygen, I guess, reducer, right? Like it helps you breathe better. Yeah. Then you switch to the other side, and you're hop stepping, right? And then afterwards, he says, well, after every game, I already have the protein shake made for him, and it's ready for him by the time he gets there, back to his seat. He's like, but we do light protein. We don't do the heavy proteins because your body has to work up to that. And he went through the whole thing of understanding what kind of proteins of, I think it was like from fruits and vegetables, that kind of stuff needs to go in first. And I was like, that's fucking interesting. Like, this is the stuff nobody hears, right? Like, nobody hears this. So, again, knowing that somebody's probably not going to be around for the next 20 years, right? Like, I mean, and if they are, maybe a journeyman, right? Going from team to team to team.
Yeah.
But having those kinds of people behind you, that because you have that money that you can pay for, those are the people that are going to get the best treatment to their bodies.
Yeah. And I think that you can't do anything, no matter what your chosen career is. You can't do anything at the highest possible level unless you have systems in place you got to automate some of your life. And if he can get those things dialed and taken care of, then by the time that he's ready to move on to after game and aftercare and all that stuff and all that's dude, how much time is he saving? And you want to talk about time collapsing? The guy's playing 3 careers worth of time in one, right? So putting those systems into place and automating his life and making sure the right people are there. And yeah, it all runs on money, obviously. But the truth is he could say, I'm not going to spend another dime on anything. And the Lakers would pick it up for him until he retired. So it's not that it runs on his money necessarily. It's just that he's also at the point where that's necessary for him to be who he is.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And there's
yeah,
what is it? Where did he go from? He went to Ohio, to Miami, to LA, right?
Yeah, Cleveland, Miami, to LA. Yep. I don't think he was anywhere else.
That's not bad at all. Those are some pretty good
seasons. Did he go back to Cleveland?
I think for like a year or 2.
Yeah.
I thought he did.
Yeah, I mean, come on. But yeah, he's just, it's like anybody who does anything at the highest level. I've got the most respect for you in the world. Like, you could play cricket at the highest level. You could be the best, shopping cart collector at Walmart at the highest level. It doesn't matter, bro. If you're that good at what you do, I have respect for you. It's amazing.
There's one guy in the NFL, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Okay. He is the ultimate journeyman. Okay. And I say that because he's got multiple kids. Okay. And he was economics in Harvard. Okay. So he graduated from that, went to the Bills, played decent over there to where they gave him hey, we got our quarterback, got his money, failed miserably after he got his money. Then they dropped him. He went from this team to that team, this team, that team. And he was always a good backup quarterback. He wasn't good. Like when you know that he had the job, it was like, it's kind of dicey, kind of dicey. But he always found a way to get paid because he was an economics major from Harvard, right? Like he's going to find it. So he goes to, then I started to look at his stats, right? And this is where you and I go down rabbit holes of stuff. This is my rabbit hole, right? I started looking at it and I was like, from September to mid-October, he's good. He'll be like 4-2, right? His record is like 4-2. And he's slinging up 300-yard games and some touchdowns, a couple of interceptions. As soon as it gets cold, I realized that his game goes down. Dude, he's like
a Tesla.
Yeah, exactly. His battery life is not lasting.
Yeah.
He went down to Miami, was throwing 400-yard games. He went to Tampa Bay, 400-yard games, and they were just sticking. And I was like, yeah, he's a fair weather kind of player. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna play in the sun.
It's too bad he's gonna have to play in cold weather no matter where he plays. That the whole country can't be Tampa.
No, it can't. And now he's like one of the best commentators now, because he's he actually showed up to one of his after he won the game. He showed up with Deshaun Jackson's like all of his jewelry and his bling. He threw on his sunglasses, his tracksuit. He went up there. He's like, yeah. So what do you think after an important win like this? He's like, well, I think it's really important for all of us to be humble. And
and all that.
Yeah. And he's like, and you don't want to lose track of who you are.
Yep, there you go.
I gotta send that to you.
You gotta have fun, dude. You gotta have fun.
Yeah,
you gotta have fun.
So, what is the next 5 years? If you could paint it out the way you want it to go, what would that look like?
The next 5 years?
Yeah.
So the next 5 years are big for us because Natalie's 13, Tommy's 12. Like they're reaching college, right? And it's like when I think of the next 5 years, those are the things that ring into my head first. But I like to think about what I'm doing this year. I don't set resolutions. I don't do stuff like that, but I try to set goals for myself for the year. This year, I set a monetary goal for myself, which would double what I did last year, which means that I've got to really put things in gear, really make some changes. I have to really start charging for my worth. I really have to, um, learn the things that I haven't done well so far. So
Okay.
like it's for me, it's always learning.
Right.
And I here's for me, I want the YouTube channel to take off. I want to make sure that like when the time comes that people realize that freelance writing isn't going anywhere, that I'm going to be the person that they come to for the information that they want. Uh, what I would love to do, I would love to start my own podcast. You know me, dude. I've always had a side hustle. I love side hustles. I love being around people who are doing things and building things. And it's just friggin' exciting, right? And I think about that. Like maybe I should start a podcast down that road. Um, I do think I'm gonna have to cut some stuff back over the next 5 years. I think I'm doing a little bit too much. So some of my blogs that haven't done so well, I think I'm gonna scale back on those and concentrate on working for clients that can pay the prices that I want to pay or what I want to make. And what that means is like I'm shifting towards copywriting over content writing, which means a lot of sales writing. What is this? What you got going
It's
on
a
there?
fucking stink bug. He just came out of nowhere.
There you go.
Sorry.
It's just I think for me it's a shift. I love. Let's go back. Let's start this whole thing over, okay?
My
I have
name's
in my
Tom
head the vision
Scalisi.
that I'm going to own. What's that?
My name's Tom Scalisi.
My name's nice to meet you. So in my head, I want a media empire of some sort, and I want YouTube channels, I want websites, I want podcasts, I want this big. Do you know who Patrick Bet David is? He does Valuetainment. Have you ever seen his stuff?
No, I know the name. It's been thrown around, but I don't know who he is.
Oh, dude, I love him. PBD, he's amazing. Just like I just want a media empire. I love learning all the new things that you can learn on the internet and all the different skills and all the different businesses. And I just want to stay there, dude. I just want to stay there. I want to remain relevant. I want to keep building. I don't know what the next 5 years looks like for me. I'm sure it'll be more businesses. I'm sure it'll be more websites. I'm sure it'll be trying the next hot trend until it works or doesn't work, because I do that all the time. Dude, you asked a guy who said he has ADHD what he wants to do in the next 5 years. Like it's nuts. It's the future. It's very exciting. I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. It just needs to be a step ahead of here.
I want to get ADHD.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm always it's a funny thing for me. Like there's one word that always rings in my head, and it's the word progress. That word is a word that I'm obsessed with. And if I'm doing something that doesn't feel like it's making me progress, my mood is bad. I feel I'm cranky. I feel like I'm distracted. But as long as what I'm doing is helping me make progress,
Yeah.
I'm good. Even if it's not the perfect use of my time, if there's progress, I'm good. So the next 5 years looks like a ton of progress.
That's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. What if you could look back, and a lot of people, and it's okay for whatever answer it is, but if you could look back and see the younger version of you,
Okay.
what would the advice be that you could give him that you know now, and then you would tell him that advice?
I had a thought the other day that I don't know that I would have liked myself at 20 years old. Like I don't know that if I was around myself, I would have liked myself, because it was just craziness. But if there's one thing I would say, I'd be like, bro, don't spend your money on cars and in bars. Like save your money, be smart with what you do with your money. And I would also tell myself to start my own business sooner. That's what I would do. So save your money, don't spend on cars and bars, and start your own business sooner. I've always wanted to own my own business, and I never did it because I just never thought I could or didn't have the discipline. And once I had to do it, I figured I could.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you were definitely into, well, you had the V-Dub back in the day.
Volkswagens, a bunch of them.
Yeah.
A bunch of them, a lot of money wasted.
The one I saw was the gray one. I remember the gray one.
I had 2 red ones. I had a gray one. I had a bunch. I loved them, but the truth is that they never made me a dime. They never, like, there was no. I enjoyed them, but it wasn't. There was a lot of money spent, dude. There was a point where my kitchen in my apartment had a cylinder head in it. It had a new carpet in it. It had wheels stacked in the corner. No food, not a lick of food, but just car parts everywhere.
needs
and
food?
It's like, where's that money now? And I know you got to be young and have fun, but for me, like, I might have had a little bit too much, and that's what I would probably have changed.
Okay. Do you think that, not having any fun also would have made you more of a serious person and too serious?
I don't know that it's possible. I don't know that I could go back and tell myself not to do the shit I did.
Well, no, we're working on it. We're working on time machines.
Value. We're working on it. AI's here.
Yeah.
We'll get there. There's definitely value in the road that I took.
Yeah.
Right? There's definitely value. But when I look back and I see the dumb decisions I made, it's like, how much value was in that decision?
I hear you. That's not. Yeah, I mean, if we never had those decisions anyway, or not those decisions to make, but I don't know. If we never learned from those mistakes, then we would always be kind of trying to act perfect and trying to do X, Y, and Z. But it's almost like our parents kind of looked at us and they were just like, yeah, they're doing something fucking stupid again.
Yeah. Yeah. In 20 years, they're going to be on a podcast talking to each other about the stupid shit they did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's, the podcast didn't even exist back then, but they knew somehow we'd be reminiscing about the dumb shit we did.
The closest thing was what, Howard Stern?
Probably. God. Probably.
Yeah. And
a long time ago.
Now what he does is everywhere. We're doing it. Everybody's doing it. And it's, he just walks away from the table with billions. Billions.
Let's take a little bit of that.
Yeah. So, what's a finishing thought that you could give to people listening in that took the time to listen?
I have a finishing thought, and I do have to go because my wife's got work. But my finishing thought, and it's something that I always try to tell people, is like, don't be afraid to try something new. And, for me, if I didn't try something new, I'd probably be dead because I would be still at the police department and like hurting. But don't be like, I knew this guy where one of the buildings I worked at, and we would be tackling a project and we would say, I don't know how the hell we're going to get this thing out of here. It would be like a big machine, right? And he was famous for saying, well, it wasn't born here, which meant that like somebody got it here, that person that much smarter than you. So for me, I just feel like, it's all possible. Like just try something new, go for it. Obviously I'm somebody who believes in starting businesses and side hustles, and it's very exciting. And, maybe we'll go into further next time that we do this, but like, just try something new. And if you want to try freelance writing, get a hold of me on the YouTube channel because I'll show you how to do it.
And where is that again?
At Tom Scalisi, youtube.com at Tom Scalisi.
I have to go. We have to leave now. I have to leave. We have to leave now. I have to go.
Bye-bye.
Well, see you later.